All right, so welcome to the show, Spring Trends. It's the segment that you're on now, where we bring you who's trending, what is trending, and why they are trending. But then, let's start with what's happening in North Africa. In Sudan, there's a war going on between the military government and the rapid support forces. It's a power struggle there that's really ravaging the country. And Nigerians have been evacuated from the country, but in the process of that, something occurred yesterday. Let's take the lead for you now. Dr. Ahmad Small tweeted yesterday that the buses evacuating Nigerian students and non-students were stopped in the middle of the Sahara, and the drivers refused to continue the journey because they were not paid. And then he tagged the necessary agencies there, talking about the students were crying out in the video. So let's look at the video now of the complaint of the students who were being evacuated and they got stuck in the desert.
Before we started this journey, we have to go on several fighting. Can you imagine that we are stuck in this desert for 5 hours? We don't know what state we are. Like we don't know the situation we are. We don't have water. Our money has finished. Can you imagine? And they said the vehicle drivers, they said they are not moving their bus. They said they are not moving their buses because they don't give them money. Which type of attitude is this one? Look at this place. We are stuck in desert. We don't even have compass. We don't know where we are. I don't know the place we are. Everything has finished. We are done. We don't have anything. We don't have anything. We don't have funds. We don't have anything. We don't have compass to even know our location. We're in an unknown environment with a very big danger.
Look at this place. All those things are nothing.
Why is Nigeria
Well, did you see the beautiful road in the middle of the desert? See how lovely that road was. But away from the beauty of that road, it's quite disappointing and disheartening that had to happen yesterday. So let's look at the reactions that followed that video that was released. We'll begin with Tomorrow of a New Nigeria is Possible says, this is heartless, disgusting, and terrible attitude from Nigerian government. Nigerian students in the middle of nowhere trapped in Sudan, Egypt desert, when our government said they've paid $1.2 million for 40 buses to evacuate them from Sudan at Abike Dabiri. Dr. Chinonso Egemba says there is this attitude of blatant disregard for human lives that permeates how Nigerian public office holders handle their businesses. As long as the people involved are not their friends or relatives, it will be treated anyhow. Sadiq Sin Wizarab says, how can you abandon people's kids at the Sahara Desert? What kind of government is this? How much does it cost that they refuse to pay? This is painful to watch. Convert says, bad governance knows no border. Remember that when you think you don't need to change the country, you carry its passport. Kunle Kenny says, $1.2 million at 740 naira is 880 million naira. Yet the bus drivers claim they weren't paid and they stopped people in the middle of the desert. Kai. Theo Abu comes next. Says a whopping sum of $1.2 million is what the Nigerian government said they spent to evacuate Nigerian students stranded in Sudan. Imagine escaping a war in Sudan only to die in the desert because of poor and irresponsible leadership. This country is really tiring. And Franklin says, maybe this is the reason they were boarded according to their state. Those states that did not vote for APC, their citizens will be left in the desert. Because you can't tell me that $1.2 million is not enough to pay these bus drivers and still have balance. May God deliver us. Now, when the students were being arranged, Abike Dabiri said that they were being arranged into the buses according to their state of origin. I wonder why that was a criterion, or it was something that was used to arrange the student. Well, let's move on. Frankly, now enough is enough in Nigeria, says absolutely unacceptable. We call on Abike Dabiri, NEMA Nigeria, Federal Ministry of Health and NITCOM, Nigerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to step up, provide immediate update, and get these students home safely. The government must take urgent action to end this shameful charade. Tosin the Stallion says, I don't expect much from the Nigerian ruling elite. People that can't manage something as basic as currency redesign. How would they evacuate citizens from a conflict zone? Cartoonish, incompetent, underdeveloped bourgeoisie. Ugochukwu says, the last commentator says, when Nigeria happens to you, it won't even have time to ask if you're from north, south, middle belt, east or west, or if you're a Christian or Muslim. The country is currently badly managed by official APC. No fear of consequences, no regards for human lives. Now, after that happened, yesterday, after that video was released, the chairman of the chairperson of the Nigeria in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri, and a lot of persons were saying that the video was people trying to malign the government, it was fake news, it was this, it was that. But she came out to confirm the what's it called now? The video, saying that, let's take our statements now. Abike Dabiri said, I have just spoken to NEMA Nigeria DG. He confirmed that the bosses have continued their journey and said whatever issues have been resolved. But Nigerians were not having it funny with her. They came for her. Imran J. Umar, who was one of the students stranded, says, "You are a liar." They continued because the student gave their passport to the drivers until the payment has been made. Mayor of Isoko Land says, my state of origin bus has finally landed in my village. We cannot wait for the incompetent and corrupt NEMA Nigerian Abike Dabiri. Thank you, the 13 elders and our mothers of Omen, for bringing my friends and relatives safely to our state of origin. Now you can see Abike's original post where she said, Sudan update, for ease of conveying the students, they were put on the buses according to their state of origin. It's very confusing why that could happen. But Moses Opogode says, that's Tunisia, an African country airlifting their citizens with an Air Force jet, where our HQ Nigerian Army at Nigeria Air Force planes, including the Bak 111s. Did Buhari finally donate them to Niger and Chad? Engineer Tom Steve says, when I called you a criminal, talking about Abike now, do you think I was prophesying? No, I wasn't. I know you right from your 30 years, though I was young but never a kid. You've never changed. Your level of criminality has been on a low till God decided to disgrace you internationally. Coming from Mr. Tom Steve there. The next comment is from Sweet Girl Monique. Says, come add by the grace of God for this one, huh? You've been thinking saying now by the grace of God, you go take pay drivers after I don't collect $1.2 million per they play. Nee is a man, he says, the person that posted the original situation should keep updating us. Keep tensioning the foreign ministry until they arrive safely. We move on from Nee to Elvis Nwaja. Says, must there be silly issues like this? When I know if we get something right for once. Same they do now. $1.2 million to hire bus, but Airpeace won't do them for free. When I no agree. Shame. Twe. Minister of Obedient Affairs says, how would you pay an installment to a bus that's evacuating citizens? What kind of nonchalant attitude is being portrayed towards this evacuation? Onu Kapia says, when I use Nigeria name, take buy market on credit. When I think so, wise. Whoever is in charge of those buses should better collect their money in cash. Nigerian government no go give una shishio. They have shared the money amongst themselves. Abike Dabiri collected a share too. The Lakpo Classic, the host says, who else can sense the arrogance and disrespect in this quote tweet? Igberaga for Yini. I know some of you average Nigerians who haven't gotten to our level have this ugly act. What if they get to this level? See bully. From the first beginning of our tweet, I knew it was F9. Oh, that's the comments that trailed Abike Dabiri's reaction to the video of Nigerian students stranded, those who have been evacuated, stranded somewhere in the desert between Sudan and Egypt. Let's move on from Sudan now and go to what happened yesterday. So a Twitter user was responding to the public relations officer of the Nigeria Police Force, saying that criminals that committed crime during EndSARS and up till today still walk free. Now, the conversation began when somebody said that they needed to arrest another person. And the police PRO said that, well, they can pick anybody anywhere. And this boy DX Danny Boy says, the criminals will commit crime during NSAS and up till today still walk free for inside Nigeria and never catch up. Now, this was the response of the public relations officer of the police force. He said, send us his pics, but you know we have stopped picking those who participated in NSAS. If not, many won't be in their father's houses, or doing comedy or skits, or even to contest. So don't go there. NSAS is part of our history in Nigeria, and I'm sure many have learned one or two things from the violence. So Makanaki started the response. Captain with Black says, this your tweet actually authenticates the RRS tweet under David tweets tweet. APC don't turn our Nigerian police to politician. Salako says, this is supposed to be the account of the police force PRO doing comedy skits. So, Mr. Macaroni, even to contest Gbadebo Revival, this is you admitting that all the pics were state-sponsored. So why are we surprised by the stunt your men pull daily on the roadside? Tolulokwe says, your intel didn't tell you that the actual protesters were peaceful and that it was the state-sponsored thugs that killed and destroyed properties, or you just chose to take side with the oppressors, SMH. Onoji Moonshine says, you see that post where the official account of the police was attacking David Ondeyin? There's absolutely no difference between this post and that. This is to tell you enough about the police force. Victor says, Oga Police, please take a moment to pause and ponder before you write. You are a law enforcement officer and should be absolutely careful with the things you say. Do you really understand what human rights are? Because you're abusing those rights with your tweets. Monix49 says, you are shameless. If our useless police force are doing their jobs effectively, we won't be protesting about police brutality. How many MC Oluomo boys, Agberos, miscreants, and louts have you arrested? Deborah Killers, Unko, I beg, shut up your dirty mouths. The most useless police force. Sounds J says, father's house equals to fouls. Doing comedy or skit equals to Mr. Macaroni. Even to contest GRV. You see why policemen know they ever die better? To think that NSAS was also about the police welfare. Pagambasi TV says, but you know we have stopped picking those who participated in NSAS. A clear case of indictment. Police brutality and citizen suppression are clearly evident in your tweet submission. Exhibit number 1. Chibweze said, you have just confirmed here by this tweet that police was picking up Nigerian citizens who participated in NSAS peaceful protest. This tweet explains the sudden disappearance of so many people during and after the peaceful protest. I hope families seeking answers for their missing family members can contact you for answers at Police NG. Dr. Ayo Shogunro, our last commentator, says, is the goal to pick those who participated in NSAS or to arrest and prosecute those who committed crimes during the protest? Or is it protesting that is the crime? That's the end of the comment on that story, and that's where we end the show this morning. I'll see you on Monday. Do have a lovely weekend. Stay out of trouble and stay on the safe side of law. My name is Emmanuel Ojadegele. Bye-bye.